Salvete omnes. This is exercise B of chapters 46 and 47, dependent subjunctive clauses, focusing on fearing clauses and indirect questions. This is exercise B. We are to read the Latin aloud and then translate into English. Parse at your leisure. That means if you run into any bother, parse it out. You'll figure it out. Prima, sententia prima. Credamus nulli, nemo enim fidelis nobis est. Awesome sentence grammatically, freakish when you actually think about what it means. Credamus nulli, so credo, credere, credidi, creditus. So credamus, that is the first person singular present active subjunctive. My, why would a subjunctive be the main verb? Only if it's an independent subjunctive. So independent subjunctives, you've got hortatory uses the first person plural. Optative uses the second person. Joseph uses the third person. So pretty sure it's hortatory. What does that horticulturalist grow in his garden? Let's do it, gamers. So credamos, let us. Let's believe. Credo takes the dative. What you believe or trust in goes in the dative. Nulli, that is the dative of, well, actually, it could be the dative of nemo. Nemo, neminus, sometimes you can use nullius. So as the dative, it's one of them heteroclats. Nullus aum. It's ne ullus, not anyone, no one. Let's trust no one. Oh, okay, cool. Let's trust no one. Let's believe no one. Nemo, now the Romans like to do this thing where they have one word in one case and they can put the same word but in a different case right next to it. They'll do it because it's cool. They can do that with their language. It's cool. So we have credamus nulli. And then for the emphasis, we have another word that's just like nulli. It's nemo, but it's in the nominative. Let's trust no one. For no one. To really emphasize it, we also add an enim. Enim is just nam, back in nam, N-A-M, which is for. Nam, N-A-M. That's F-O-R, for, the explanatory conjunction for, when you explain yourself. For I did not think that this would be a thing. You're explaining yourself as to why. For. That's what enim does here. Enim is a little bit stronger than nam because enim is post-positive, meaning that nam would come first. That would be nam nemo. But enim is extra special. So extra they put an e in front of it. So it's not just nam, but it's enim, ennam. So what they've done is it's moved from the first position to the second position. You're like, well, that seems less important. Yes, but what it does is it forces the first word to be the most important. Nemo enim. Ooh, for no one. And we already ended the first part on no one. Let's believe no one. For no one, fidelis nobis est. Fidelis, fidele, fidelity, faithful. It's an adjective. Third declension adjective, faithful. And nobis, a dative with an adjective, faithful to someone, faithful to us. We got a couple cool datives here. Nulli, dative with verb. Nobis, dative with adjective. So faithful to us. And the S is there just for flavor, I suppose. For no one is faithful to us. Nemo is the subject. Fidelis is a predicate nominative. It's an adjective. Optime, secunda, sententia secunda. Bellum non gerent quod timent, ne frumenta sua et villae aedificiaeque omnia capiantur. Bellum non gerent. So bellum in neuter, war, warfare, campaign. Non, the negative not, negates a verb like gerent. Gerent from gero, gerere, gessi, gestus. So with war, we have bellum gerere, to wage war. It's a future, third person plural. They will not wage war. They will not conduct a campaign, prosecute a war. Quod timent, quod. Quod is typically because. It takes the indicative. It can also take the subjunctive, but it means something slightly different when it takes the subjunctive. So And that's actually, no, we don't have that here. Remind me at some point in class to go over what that means. We'll see that a couple times in Caesar. Quod timent, because, takes the indicative, timent, timeo, timere, timui, no fourth principal part. Very important verb in this chapter, to fear, to be timid. This is where we get timid, to be afraid, to show fear. So they fear because they fear. They will not conduct a war because they fear. And what is it that they are afraid of? Present tense, primary sequence. This is it. What's following is the substantive noun clause, this entire clause of what they're afraid of, this whole thing. It's acting like one big noun, but it's a clause. Introduced by the conjunction ne, so that we're afraid that this is happening right now, capiantur, present tense, so contemporaneously or subsequently to the main verb. They are afraid that this is happening right now. That frumenta sua, all of their grain, and it's grains. It's more than one. It's not just wheat, it's also oats, it's also barley. All of their own grains. Now, sua sa this is the reflexive. You should be able to circle the su part and draw an arrow to the subject, the subject, the subject. And actually it refers to the subject here, the subject of the introductory clause. Because they fear that all of their own grain, I'm sorry, not all, that their own grain, et villa aedificiaeque omnia capiantur. All their grain and all the things of their home, of their farmhouse and their buildings are being captured. So that their grain and everything of their home and building are being captured. This is what they're afraid of. They will not conduct a campaign because they are afraid that all of their grain and all their stuff, omnia, plural neuter, all the stuff of their homes and buildings will be captured. Optime, ambulemus ad forum, ut illum notum consulem orationem habentem adiamus. So ambulemus, why ambulamus would make more sense because it's ambulo ambulare. Are, it's a first conjugation, not ambulemus, it's a viosa. So first person plural, ambulemus. Hortatory subjunctive. So let us walk. Ad forum, to the forum, motion towards, ambulemus ad forum, let us walk to the forum, ut, so that. This is explaining why we would ever walk to the forum. Illum notum consulem orationem habentem adiamus. So that illum, accusative, notum, accusative, consulem, accusative, all accusative, singular, masculine. That, over there yonder, you know which one. Famous, notable, consul. Orationem, accusative, singular, feminine, to go with habentem. Habentem, that is a present active participle, ens entis, habeo, habere, habui, habitus, to have. When you have habeo orationem, that means to deliver a speech. You have a speech, you're going to deliver it. To give a speech, to deliver a speech. Habentem, habeo, present active participle, ens entis. So it declines like a third declension adjective, and that's the accusative, singular, masculine, or feminine form. It's going to be masculine because it agrees with the consulem. And it shows what action the consul was doing at the same time as the main verb, because it's a present participle. It happens at the same time, contemporaneously, to the main verb. So we're going to go to the forum. Let's walk to the forum. Why? So that, adverbial purpose clause, we may, present, hear, because we have present subjunctive primary sequence, we may hear or listen to that yonder well-known, notable, famous consul delivering a speech, giving a speech. This is the participle, present active participle ing, agreeing with consulem. It shows the action he's doing, delivering a speech. Yes, participles can have their own direct objects. Delivering a speech, that's what he was doing at the same time we went to the forum to hear him. Optime. That one had an adverbial purpose clause, did not have a fearing clause or an indirect question. Ooh. Quarta illa animalia et specie et magnitudine corporis dissimilima erant eis quae Paulo post vidimus. Of course, obviously. Illa animalia. So those over there yonder, illa illud animalia, anima animalis neuter, an animal, an animate living thing, a thing bestowed with an anima or animus. So that anima, it's plural, could be the direct object, could also be the subject, because nominative case. It's neuter. We don't really know. By the end of the sentence, hopefully we'll know, but I'm going to guess it's the subject. I'm going to guess. Always ready to change my translation if somewhere down the line I need to. So those animals, either they are doing the action of the verb or the action of the verb is happening to them. Et specie, et magnitudine. Okay, we have et and et. These are co-relatives. These are correlative conjunctions because they correlate. They join to each other. They relate to each other. We have et, both, and both x and y. It's used to link two things. Actually, you can link more than two things. You can keep going on and on and on. So, illa animalia specie. This is the ablative singular feminine of specie, speciae. It's a fifth declension. It means species, appearance. Species just means appearance. It's what you look like in a speculum, a mirror. Magnitudine, so it's, you can see the adjective magnus. This is just the noun form of magnus, so greatness or great size, the magnitude. The great size, and these are ablatives. So with or by means of appearance and great size of body, dissimilima. This is the genitive corpus, corporis neuter, body of body. These are ablatives of specification because they specify in what way those animals were most dissimilar to these or to the others. So these are ablative of respect, ablatives of specification. In what respect are those animals very different, most different from these or those? In appearance and in their size, their greatness, the size of the body, bodily size. Now, dissimilima, this is the superlative of dissimilus. Remember those silly six, the silly, billy six, those six adjectives, facilis, difficilis, similus, dissimilus, humilus, and gracilis that have double L's in their superlatives. So you're seeing dissimilima, they're silly, double L's, silly, billy. So dissimilima, not just dissimilus, not just dissimilior, but dissimilia. Whoops. Dissimilima, most dissimilar, and agrees with the nominative illa animalia, those animals. They were, imperfect of sum, they were most dissimilar. In what way? In both appearance and in great size of body. And then this takes a dative. Eis is dative with adjective dissimilima, because you're dissimilar to someone or something. You are very unlike to this thing, unlike this, not similar to this. So very dissimilar, very unlike to those, quae. Now those, we're implying animals. We're just not saying eis animalibus. To those, that's what a pronoun does. It takes the place of a noun. To those quae, now we have a relative clause. The antecedent, the pronoun here, implied animalibus. So remember that a relative pronoun has to agree with its antecedent in gender and number and not necessarily in case. So quae has to be plural and neuter. It does not have to be dative. Here it is nominative or accusative. Quae, nominative or accusative, plural, neuter. Paulo post, man, this sentence is awesome. Paulo That's an ablative of degree of difference. So you have ablative of degree of difference with post, or you could use ante. Here it's with post. Post means after, so afterwards. Paulo means a little bit, so it's afterwards by a little bit. In English, we'd say a little bit after, or a little while later. It's the ablative of degree of difference because it tells you how much later. It's post, it's later, but how much? Paulo, by a little bit. Ablative, by a little bit. And then vidimos is the perfect, first person plural, active indicative of video, which we saw a little while later. Yon animals were most dissimilar in both appearance and great size of body to those which we saw a little while later. Optime, quinta, sententia quinta. Nemo est qui nobis cibum aut vinum det. Quid ergo factori sumus? Yes, indeed. Nemo est qui. There is nemo, ne homo. There is no person, no homo, no one. There is no one. Qui, who, nobis, the dative or ablative, it's probably dative here, of nos, nostrum, nobis, nos, nobis. There is no one who, to us, food or wine debt may give. There is no one who may give us, or who will give us, food or wine, who will give food or wine to us. This is an indirect question. This is an indirect question. So there is no one who. The direct question is, who will give wine or food to us? Quis nobis cibum aut vinum dabit? Now we're saying nemo est. There is no one who. There is no one who may give, no one who will give. So primary sequence, present subjunctive, who may give food or wine nobis to us. Quid ergo facturi sumus? Quid ergo? What therefore? Therefore, ergo, in conclusion, it's postpositive. Quid ergo? Quid ergo facturi sumus? Facturi sumus. Here we have an active periphrastic. It is a form of the future active participle, so facturus, here it's facturi because it's plural, and then sumus, it's a helping verb. We have a form of to be as a helping verb. Literally, what therefore are we about to do? What are we to do? It shows intent, what you're about to do or ready to do. What are we ready to do? What are we about to do? There is no one who will give us food or wine. What are we about to do? What are we ready to do? Now the passive periphrastic version, that's the active periphrastic. The passive periphrastic version, faciendum est, that would be what is obligated, necessity, shows obligation, what must be done. Quid ergo faciendum est nobis, what must be done by us, what are we to do? That's what that be. The difference between the active and the passive periphrastic. The active shows intent, the passive shows obligation, what must be done. Cool, I love reviews. Sexta, sententia sexta. Rogavistine aqua vulneratus esset. Rogavistine, so second person singular, perfect, of rogo, rogari, rogavi, rogatus. Rogavisti with the enclitic ne, asking a yes or no question. Did you see, or I'm sorry, ask. Didst thou ask? Didst thou ask aquo, ab, plus the ablative, from whom or by whom, because looking at this verb, this is probably going to be personal agent, by whom vulneratus esset. So, did you ask, didst thou ask by whom he had been wounded? This is a pluperfect passive. If this is pluperfect, that means this action happened prior to or before this perfect tense secondary sequence verb that introduces it. So the dude's already been wounded. And I'm asking you, did you ask him by whom he had been wounded, already been wounded? It had already happened, which is why this is pluperfect passive. Optime, septima. Scivaras quid facturi essent. Scivaras quid facturi essent. So scivaras, we have the pluperfect second person singular of scio, sciere, scivi, scitus, so to know. You had known. You had known quid. Yes, another indirect question like in sententia sexta. So you had known what facturi essent. So we are in secondary sequence, and here we have facturi essent. Now this is the future active participle plus the imperfect of sum. So this is an author wishing to express the futurity of the action. You had asked what we will do. You had asked what we will do, because this is a future active participle with a form of the verb to be in the subjunctive. So what we're doing is we're expressing the futurity, the futureness of the action. So subsequent action, imperfect subjunctive here, but linked with the future active participle. You had asked what they will do. You had asked what they, or you had, I'm sorry, Scivaras, you had known what they will do. You had known what they will do. Octava, sententia octava, sciam cui id des. Sciam cui id des. Sciam. So I will know. Could be the subjunctive. So should I know? Probably is going to be the future. Oh, I may know. It's probably going to be the future. I will know, because we don't use bo bis bit with third IO or fourth conjugation. So I will know cui, that is the dative. That is the dative of the interrogative. To whom id des. So future tense for sciam, we are in primary sequence. We have the present subjunctive. To whom you are giving it. I will know to whom you are giving it. I will know to whom you may give it. I will know to whom you will give it. I will know to whom you are giving it. The present subjunctive of do, dare, dedidatus, des. Nona, sententia nona. Cupivit scire num eos vidissimus. So cupivit, he did want. He wanted. Cupivit, third person singular, perfect active indicative. He wanted, he desired. Because y'all are scared of Wolo. So he desired, scire, complementary infinitive, scire, to know. He desired to know, num eos vidissimus. Num, here it means whether, eos vidissimus, whether we had seen eos, them. He desired to know. He wanted, cupivit, to know. And then the indirect question, num eos vidissimus, whether we had seen them. Vidissimus is the first person plural, pluperfect active subjunctive, because it's a prior action to the main verb cupivit. So he wanted to know in the past whether we had already seen them. And I don't know who them are. It's just accusative plural masculine, them. And demum decima, sententia decima. Rogabat qui mitti deberent. Deberent. Rogabat qui mitti deberent. So rogabat, the third person singular imperfect active indicative of rogo, rogare, rogavi, rogatus. He was asking. He kept on asking. He used to ask, qui, interrogative, mitti deberent. Who deberent mitti. So we have debeo, debere, debui, debitus, third person plural, imperfect active subjunctive. We're in secondary sequence because of the imperfect tense, and then we have the imperfect subjunctive here to show a contemporaneous or subsequent action to the introductory verb. So he was asking, he kept asking in the past, who deberent, who ought, at the same time, back when he was asking it, Mitti, that is the present passive infinitive of mitto, mittere, missi, missus, to be sent. He was asking who ought to be sent. Optime, very well done. That wraps it up for exercise B. You are now ready to move on to exercise C.